We bid you welcome, Rich Gilbert writes, you who come with weary spirit seeking rest, who come with troubles that are too much for you, who come hurt and afraid. We bid you welcome, who come with hope in your heart, who come with anticipation in your step, who come proud and joyous. We bid you welcome, who are seekers of a new faith, who come to probe and explore, who come to learn. We bid you welcome, who enter this hall, this stream as a homecoming, who have found in this time room for your spirit, who find in this people a family. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever you are on your journey, we bid you welcome. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Lincoln on this Sunday morning, September 26th of 2021. My name is the Reverend Oscar Sinclair. I'm joined on the pulpit this morning by our worship associate, Alex Enerson, and in the sanctuary with half a dozen other musicians, staff members, and wonderful people who will be putting together this live stream. Each week for the last year and a half, our congregation has gathered during the coronavirus pandemic, and that has looked very different from week to week and month to month. But the thing that has stayed the same, whether in person, on Zoom, on a live stream, on a pre-recorded video on YouTube, is that these services are a chance to proclaim who we are and what we're about as an institution, where we throw open the doors of our congregation and proclaim the radical love and welcome that is at the heart of this faith. The Unitarian Church of Lincoln aspires to be a loving community, uniting reason with spiritual exploration to transform ourselves and the world. We say that every single Sunday morning. It remains true, and it will be true whether in person, online, or in some way of being that we cannot yet imagine. So there is work to be done. There is worship to be done. But we begin with the incredulous, incredible, talented Roger Geary, who gracefully agreed to be our guest musician on relatively short notice this week. And he is joined by our music director, Bob Fusen. Sorry.
Might be an incredulous performance, who knows? When my life is over and I have gone away, I'm gonna leave this big old world, the beauty and the pain. And if I get to heaven, I will not stay. I'll turn myself around again and fall down as the rain. Fall down as the rain, oh, fall down as the rain. Turn myself around again and fall down as the rain. When I finally reach the ground, I'll soak into the sod, turn myself around again, come up as goldenrod. Come up as goldenrod, come up as goldenrod. Turn myself around again, come up as goldenrod. Then when I turn dry and brown, I'll lay me down to rest. Turn myself around again as part of an eagle's nest. Part of an eagle's nest, oh, part of an eagle's nest. Turn myself around again as part of an eagle's nest. When that eagle learns to fly, I'll flutter from that tree, turn myself around again as part of the mystery. Part of the mystery, oh, part of the mystery. Turn myself around again as part of the mystery. When my life is over and I have gone away, I'm gonna leave this big old world, the beauty and the pain. If I get to heaven, I will not stay, turn myself around again, fall down as a rain, fall down as a rain, fall down as a rain, turn myself around again, fall down as a rain. Part of the mystery, oh, part of the mystery, turn myself around again, fall down as a rain.
This is the hour. The time has come. Mindful of our responsibilities as leaders of this faith and guardians of the living tradition, we call upon that great cloud of witnesses, those who came before, those who are here now, and those who have yet to come. We seek their presence, love, and support in this place at this hour. We kindle this flame to light their path and call them near as we undertake this sacred work.
Our story today is called Sustaining the Tree of Life by Lynn Gardner. The tree stood in the middle of the village. Its trunk was so large that it took 6 people holding hands to reach around it. The roots were strong and wide, and its branches spread out over the village square, offering shelter from the rain or shade from the summer sun. Its fruit was juicy, sweet, and plentiful. The people of the village loved the tree. Children played beneath it and climbed its lowest branches. Young people knew that if you whispered your dreams to the tree, they were more likely to come true. People who proclaimed their love or friendship for one another beneath its branches found their relationships to be nourishing, and elders discovered that their sweetest memories could be counted on when they were near the great tree. The tree had been witness to so much, And when the breezes blew through the leaves, one could hear echoes of generations, laughter, conversations, dreams, prayers, and songs. Animals loved the tree too. Rabbits lived in burrows under the roots, squirrels, raccoons lived in the branches, and bats and birds flew in to eat the abundant fruit. The tree seemed to buzz with life. One day, a traveling merchant arrived in the village. He rested in the shade and ate 2 pieces of delicious fruit. "This fruit is incredible," he said. "I'd like to have some to sell in the next villages that I visit. Who owns this tree?" No one owns this tree," replied a villager. "If anything, we belong to it." "Well, then if no one owns the tree, then no one will mind if I pick the fruit," said the merchant, and began to fill a basket. "I mind," said the villager, "and today I am the keeper of the tree." "What do you mean, keeper of the tree?" "We each take our turn being here with the tree. You could never own it. We are here as protectors, sustainers." "Oh, that's ridiculous. This tree doesn't need you. You could just take what you need, take what you want. The tree will continue." But the villager could not be persuaded. "Sir, this tree isn't like that. We don't come here to take from it, even though we receive much. We are keepers of the tree because this is where we are nourished. This is where some of our most precious memories are and where our people have dreamed. This is where we remember who we want to become." "Well," said the merchant, "you may think this tree is very special, but it still doesn't need you to sit with it. That's preposterous." "Ah," replied the villager, "the tree itself may not need me, but what of others who come by? Just this morning I sat with a woman whose heart was heavy with worry. Had I not been here, she would have had to carry that weight alone. And this afternoon a tired couple came by and they rested with me. They said they had been looking for a place like this. And then an elder came by and we watched the birds in the branches together. And now you are here. You are confused about what this tree is and how to be with it. Imagine if you had arrived and not found anyone here to talk with. You might have continued thinking that everything you do is all about you. Lucky for you, my friend, I'm here to let you know that when you care for the tree of life, it becomes about so much more than just you." And the merchant sat for a while in the shade, thinking about these ideas that felt new and a little challenging. As the sun went down, he picked up his bag and headed out of town, whistling a song that he hadn't thought of in years. And on his way, he shared a smile with each person he met, his heart feeling strangely light and joyful. And the people of the village, they continued to sustain the tree of life, to care for one another and to share their gifts with grace and gratitude. May it be so for each of us. And that is the end of our story.
We would be one as now we join in singing our hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one which binds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
A central part of our services is the time we join together as a community to mark the moments of our lives. We share with one another our joys, our sorrows, the events that mark the steps of our journey. The threads of sorrow and those of joy are intertwined in the fabric of our lives, present for all, remembered by all. We share those threads, and then they are woven together with those of others in our community. Our joys are shared and magnified. We are comforted in our sorrows. As the next hymn plays, I invite you to type in the chat your name or the name of another you wish to be remembered, either in joy or in sorrow.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Many thanks to our choir director, Julie Enerson, and accompanist, Bill Carpenter, who have been playing hymns every week for many, many, many months now. Just a quick note before I begin about this sermon. Stacy and I have been watching a lot of Ted Lasso, so I went with sports metaphors at length today. I do apologize for that. I also feel like I need to note that as a proud son of East Lansing, Michigan, I did watch the Nebraska game last night. And while I could talk at length about that as a reason for why teams should never give up, I'll just set that game aside and start instead on May 6th of 2012. Now that Sunday afternoon in May, 10 years ago, the Baltimore Orioles played the Red Sox. It's not actually that exciting. The Orioles play their division mates from Boston many, many times a season. And in my time in Baltimore, I grew to approach those days every year with a certain amount of foreboding or resignation. And yes, the Orioles usually lost, but much worse than that were the legions of Boston fans who descended on Baltimore rooting against the home team. But that night in May, I was taking a night off of studying for finals to watch the game and think about what was coming next in my life. And from the start of the game, that game on May 7th was strange. May 6th, I'm sorry. First, the Orioles came out and took an early lead on a 3-run homer from Adam Jones. That's pretty cool. And then a few innings later, the Red Sox tied the game. In the 8th inning, the Orioles pulled ahead again, and then the Red Sox tied it again. Now, this is usually in a story about the Baltimore Orioles where the Orioles fold like wet tissue paper. But while Boston kept coming back to tie the game, they never actually took the lead. And to make matters even stranger, by the 9th inning, the Orioles' all-star slugger, who the next season would lead the major leagues in home runs, Chris Davis, had gone up to bat 4 times and had struck out 4 times. When the score is tied at the end of the 9th inning, Major League Baseball games don't end with a tie, they just keep going. Baseball and cricket, at least theoretically, can go on for an infinite amount of time. They just keep going until someone is able to score. So in the 10th inning, Chris Davis, all-star slugger, came up to the plate, the game on the line. If he could just hit a home run, he would lead the team in home runs that year. He struck out. The game kept going. By the 13th inning, you could tell that everybody on the field was getting tired. Baseball games usually run about 3 hours long. This was well over 4 by now, and both teams were starting to run out of pitchers. At home, I was staring at my watch, trying to decide if I really wanted to stay up. I remember it past midnight, but apparently it was a day game. To watch a baseball game. And then in the bottom of the 13th inning, everybody's tired. Matt Wieters hits a single. Orioles on base. Chris Davis to the plate. All the Orioles needed at this point was a plain vanilla base hit to take the lead in this never-ending game. Chris Davis, after striking out 5 times, hit and grounded into a double play. By inning 16, the teams were out of pitchers. And trotting out to the pitcher's mound comes Chris Davis. When asked about it later, the coach would say, well, hitting wasn't working for him. So we thought we'd try something different. The game eventually ended after 17 innings, 6 hours, 8 minutes, and one deeply strange statistical line for Chris Davis. Designated hitter 0 and 8 at the plate, but with 2 scoreless innings pitched, and the win as a pitcher. In the aftermath, May 6th of 2012, sitting in my basement, not sure of what I had just witnessed, I thought, well, shoot. If Chris Davis can strike out that many times and then win the game, maybe I should ask Stacey Herring out. I tell this story for a couple of reasons. First, there is exactly 1 more week left in baseball season, and while my Orioles are, I think, 51 and 103 right now, a long way from the playoffs, this is still a fun and timely story for another 6 days or so. But more to the point, there's something about baseball that lends itself to life lessons. Dr. Sean Morrison, the director of Mount Sinai Hospital's Geriatrics Department, in a webinar this week, likened the surge of COVID-19 cases this summer to a baseball game. How many times, he asked, have we told or seen in movies a story of a plucky underdog who comes from behind, ties the game, and then wins it in overtime? That's a story we've heard. But how much harder is it then to be the team that was ahead, lost their edge for just a moment, and then went into extra innings trying to get out a win? You don't need to go very far to see the lesson here for a hospital department in the midst of a Delta pandemic wave, or a church for that matter. This morning, we're launching the pledge drive for our 2022 budget. Our congregation's treasurer and our pledge drive chair are here to talk in more detail about what that will look like. And they have the full support of the congregation's leadership, our staff, and myself. So I'll let them talk about the financial situation that we're in right now. But what I'll say is this. It sure feels like we're in the 15th inning of a 9-inning game. We are not supposed to be on the field right now. We're supposed to be resting, looking back at what a strange year that was and looking forward to what comes next. But it doesn't always work out that way. So here we are, going out one more time. So here's the ask, from me at least. Stay in the game. Even if you've struck out 5 times, even if you haven't been able to connect to this way of doing church over the last 18 months, we aren't done yet. And we may start asking you to come in and pitch for us. One last baseball image. The chair of my internship committee, when I was just first learning to be a minister, was a man named Bob Nuxall. He would invariably introduce himself as Big Bad Bob. And in addition to a long and storied career as a high school history teacher, Bob spent years as an amateur and minor league baseball umpire. When I told him I was moving to Lincoln, his first response was, "Oh, the Salt Dogs." A few weeks ago, Bob entered hospice. He died on Friday night after a long and happy life. But before then, I had an opportunity to call him up one last time. It was a rare thing in life to have a conversation knowing that it will be your last with someone. But his advice to me that I scribbled onto the back of an envelope that was sitting on my desk and then immediately tacked up on the wall was this. When you're umpiring, he said, if you call a ball a strike, that's a venial sin, easily forgiven and atoned for. But if you call a strike a ball, that is a mortal sin. Do not let players think that they can watch balls sail by and still win. Do everything you can to encourage players to swing, to stay in the game, to commit. If you don't do that, you are ruining the game. So, we'll turn it over to Dorothy and Teresa. Don't let the pitch go by without taking a swing.
In my 10 years as a member of this church, I've met and been entertained by many members who love music. I've met and been wowed by the artistic talent of many members who have displayed their work in our gallery. I've met people who can pull together a reception for 100 seemingly overnight. I've watched members who are brilliant educators. With maybe 2 exceptions, I've not met anyone in this congregation who says, "I love to crunch numbers. Let me see those spreadsheets. And by the way, when will it be my turn to be treasurer or pledge chair?" The great majority of us do not want to deal with the numbers on the spreadsheet, the numbers in the budget, do not want to talk to our fellow members about money. Well, welcome to Pledge Season 2021, where we're going to talk about money. The pandemic has affected our congregation in many ways, most significantly by keeping us from gathering in our beloved building. It's also affected us financially. Our last year of operations before the pandemic was 2019. We ended that year with a budget surplus, just as we had most years in the past. In the pledge drive for the 2020 congregational year, our goal was to increase our budget by 10%. Together, we did it. And then we were thrown off course. Without income from church rentals, without income from some pledgers who suffered financially during the pandemic, we ended 2020 with a deficit for the first time in a long time. As we start the last quarter of 2021, we're holding our breath as we keep a very close eye on income and expenses, not at all certain that we won't see another deficit. Folks, this is no way to live. We don't want to hold our breath in 2022. We want to let it out, ideally in joyful song as we sit together in the sanctuary, in laughter at coffee hour, and the relief and camaraderie we'll feel when the doors are open and the masks come off. In 2022, we do not want to lose ground. Instead, we want to hit the ground running. Our pledge drive theme this year is Better Together. That's optimistic because we just have to believe we'll be together again soon in our beloved community. I know I miss it. I bet you do too. We're naturally aware of the people more than the infrastructure, but in the back of our minds, we know there's infrastructure. We don't support this church because we get really jazzed at the thought of paying the monthly light bill or the annual property insurance bill. We support this church because we value the community it provides. We value the spiritual sustenance, the opportunity to affirm our values and put them into practice with like-minded people. Recently, we invited members to share some of their best experiences of our church. I'll share my comments and a few others we've received from the congregation. I know I've been moved to think hard about my relationship with white privilege. I've been moved to tears by some of the music. I've been amazed at how we've stepped up to ensure those who needed rides when we were gathering in person had a driving buddy. One of the experiences mentioned by others includes learning about all the pieces of the puzzle that create our community has been so rewarding and is a source of hope for me that we can transform the world around us. Another is, my wedding took place at 6300 A Street. My son had his Eagle Scout ceremony at 6300 A Street. And one of my favorite responses is, when the shy kid forgot to be shy when they were talking to me. I'm sure you all have memories of favorite experiences that have happened here. It's not too late to go to that link and share them with us. We'll compile them at the end of the pledge drive to share all of them with all of you. Small but significant moments like these are why we support our church, why we pay the light bill and the property insurance bill. Church life is made up of these moments. Let's appreciate them. Let's keep them coming. This week, every member household should receive a pledge form and letter. Please support our church as robustly as you can. After a couple of difficult years, let's set ourselves up for a rewarding, celebratory 2022, when we can again be better together. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Teresa, treasurer of our church. As we're beginning the pledge season 2021, I want to do a little bit of time travel 2 years back to the fall of 2019. We were riding high. After a successful pledge season, we were getting ready to have 2 services on Sunday, We were introducing childcare 2 evenings a week to smooth the way for our young parents. And the board had developed a multi-year plan to expand our building and to establish a robust ministerial intern program. We all know what happened then. In March of 2020, we were knocked off track. We had to build a new track. Maybe not as smooth or as fast as the old track, but we were still moving. We kept going. We figured out alternative ways to stay connected, to have Sunday service together. Most committees were able to keep doing their work. Dozens of members participated in the National Beloved Conversations workshops on dismantling white supremacy. And we even got new concrete for our Eldon Street driveway entrance. It's ready and waiting for our return. We expected to be back in our church by now, face to face. Zoom, although I'm glad to have it, is not the same. We have more vitality individually and as a congregation when we are together in our preferred way. We're tired of the screen. We're tired. And we are more than that. I am betting that we are also determined and, behind the fatigue, committed to this church that reflects our values so well. Because of the pandemic, we had to forego plans to have a big in-person celebration to mark our 150th anniversary last year. I think we should think about that century and a half, though, because this church would not have lasted 150 years if our members didn't know something about getting through rough patches. Today, we have the luxury of supporting our church because Unitarians in Lincoln made the decision over and over for 15 decades to support this church. As many of us adapted to pandemic conditions, putting the auction online for the first time, establishing UU Connects groups, learning audio technology and video technology on the fly, we were following a long tradition of doing what needed to be done as best we could. It reminded me of a quote that I can paraphrase from the legendary basketball coach, John Wooden. He said, "Do not let what you cannot do keep you from doing what you can." 2 months ago, at its biannual retreat, the board set church goals for the new year, including taking action to deepen our connections with one another. And the board is starting on that goal now. During Pledge Month, board members will reach out to every household in our congregation to talk about plans for the new year and to listen to any suggestions or questions you might have. Understandably, we've lost some forward momentum during the pandemic. Understandably, we've had to work harder to maintain our operations, and we've lost some income. Just as we can't gather in our building, we can't collect fees for others who used to gather in our building. When we're not sitting side by side in the sanctuary, fewer dollars go into the collection plate. We ended 2020 with a deficit of a little over $25,000. Right now, as we're about to start the fourth quarter of 2021, it's a close call whether we're going to meet our income goals for this year. We cannot afford to lose more ground financially. Plans for the new year call for important work on values important to us, including working on racial injustice and climate change, and developing a detailed long-term plan to take care of our building. Because, of course, we are going to be back in our building. we are going to be back together again in the way we want to be. And when we are, we will want to look back on this pandemic period as a time when we didn't let what we couldn't do stop us from doing what we could, just as Unitarians in Lincoln have been doing for 150 years. And when we are back in our building, let's be grateful for that legacy and let's build on it. Let's invest for where we want to go in 2022 and beyond. Thank you.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
I am reminded in the live chat that my predecessor, Charles Stephen, was a Red Sox fan. So let this be a reminder that nobody is perfect and no minister infallible, and that each generation in our faith is given a responsibility to do better than the ones that came before. Here's how this would go normally. I would get up and say something like, the church depends on the people in it, and we are sustained over the generations by the generosity and grace of hundreds, if not thousands, of members and families. That is a true statement. Stacy and I pledge to this church because it means something to us, and I send in a pledge every month to First Unitarian Church of Baltimore, just up Charles Street from Camden Yards, because it is my spiritual home, and I want it to survive and thrive for the next generation of young idealists in Baltimore. But Teresa and Dorothy have already made that point better than I can. So, the last thing from Big Bad Bob Nuxall, don't let this one go by without taking a swing. Each week, as part of our service, we take up a collection to support the work of this church and our partners in the world. And you can give by texting UC Lincoln and the amount you wish to give to 73256. But while this offering plays today, maybe do something else. Every single year, UU churches across the country have this singular moment of panic, usually about a week before the end of their pledge drive, when they realize that they haven't heard from a whole bunch of people. And if you are one of those people, and I am one of those people in the Baltimore congregation, here's a novel idea. We are live streaming, which means you can pause this service. Take out your cell phone in the middle of the worship service and pledge right now. Actually, even better, stop the video and turn to whoever you're with. It might be a family member, or text a friend, or sit down with your pet and say, here's the church that I go to. Here's what it means to me. Here's the pitch sailing across the plate. And then talk about what it means to support a church. And then pledge. You can do that at unitarianlincoln.org/pledge or through the pledge form that we mailed out this week. Don't let the pitch go by without taking a swing. A couple notes as we draw this service to a close. First, keep sending in your pledge stories that Dorothy talked about. Your connection stories to the church. These are good for pledge season to remind us of what this place means to us, but they are also good reminders as we go into either month or inning 18 or 19 of this pandemic, of what connecting to this place has looked like for us over the last years. The other reminder is that while the dial is still at medium orange, so we will likely be live streaming next week as well. Next week is the first week of October, and when we were planning out the arc of the year for worship, we said that we would try bringing back something that hasn't been done in a couple of years in this church, which is a blessing of the animals, the first weekend of October. Now, often these are services where we do them outside and everybody brings their pets, and it is a mad pageantry. I've done them before of dogs, cats, iguanas, rabbits, at least one tarantula, one very exciting Sunday morning a couple years back for me. We're not going to be able to do that while we're doing this live streaming setup, but here's my ask. Please send us pictures and stories of your pets, because we are still going to talk about that and incorporate those pictures into the service next Sunday. We'll post about this also on our Facebook page. We'll invite you to send in stories and pictures there. You can also email them to me. You can email them to Jean. You can email them pretty much anywhere to the church, and we'll get them worked in. The first time I did one of these services, I'll say this again next Sunday, but I thought they were kind of hokey, and I wasn't sure I wanted to do them, but that same year I met Bob Nuxall, my mentor in ministry, said, you're going to do a blessing of the animals because the place where people's souls are most unguarded is with their pets. And it became one of the most moving services we did every year. So I'm looking forward to putting one together in a slightly different format while we're doing this. That closes our worship service this morning. So we extinguish these flames, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us until we are together again. I'm looking forward to this postlude because I just got the title of it and I'm fascinated.
You're telling me you don't recognize this song? Huh? It has baseball in it. A little bit. Actually, it's an old Roger Miller song from back when I was a youngster. And I thought about this song that I could make one little change to the words, and it'd be apropos for this service. So maybe it'll be a little fun. I haven't played it in a long time, so we'll see what happens. Huh? So we can get my arthritic fingers wrapped around here. Oh, you can't roller skate in a buffalo herd. Can't roller skate in a buffalo herd. You can't roller skate in a buffalo herd. You can be happy if you've a mind to. That's the words I'm going to change. You can't take a shower in a parakeet cage. You can't take a shower in a parakeet cage. You can't take a shower in a parakeet cage. You can make a pledge if you've a mind to. All you gotta do is put your mind to it. Buckle down, do it, do it, do it. Can't think of that. Oh. It's in there somewhere. Well, you can't go swimming in a baseball pool. Can't go swimming in a baseball pool. You can't go swimming in a baseball pool. You can make a pledge if you've a mind to. And you can't drive around with a tiger in your car. Can't drive around with a tiger in your car. You can't drive around with a tiger in your car. You can make a pledge if you've a mind to. All you gotta do is put your mind to it. Knuckle down, do it, please do it. Can't go fishing in a watermelon patch. Can't go fishing in a watermelon patch. You can't go fishing in a watermelon patch. You can make a pledge if you've a mind to. Oh, all you gotta do is put your mind to it. Knuckle down, buckle down, do it, please do it. Can't roller skate in a buffalo herd. Can't roller skate in a buffalo herd. You can't roller skate in a buffalo herd. You can make a pledge if you've a mind to. How about some saxophone? Oh, you can't roller skate in a buffalo herd. Can't roller skate in a buffalo herd. You can't roller skate in a buffalo herd. You can make a pledge if you've a mind to. Oh, you can make a pledge if you've a mind to. Oh, all you gotta do is put your mind to it. Knuckle down, buckle down, do it, please do it. You can't roller skate in a buffalo herd. You can make a pledge if you've a mind to. Oh, you can make a pledge if you've a mind to.
Okay. Nope, I did it again. Yep. We're done. Let's take the rest off. That's. Thank you, everybody.
That was really fun, Oscar.
That was a good.
Lots of good stuff in that.
Thanks for that. I've never heard that.
You never heard that song?
I love that song.
It's a bit before your time.
Yeah.
Jack really liked it too.
Yeah.
People with that, yeah.
Thanks for your help, too.
Well,